Hello, in today's demonstration, I am going to use gesso to create a compositional structure that has low-level dimension and almost like a bas relief or a fresco. So I'm going to do two sides on this masonite. First thing I'm going to do is apply some gesso, and I'm going to try and create a mini composition. Very simple. Okay, so I'm going to apply the gesso. Okay, so now I'm going to pay attention to the direction of my gesso. I'm going to try and create maybe some plants in water. So I've gone this way for the plants. Down here, I'm going to use my brush to kind of go the opposite direction, like the plants are maybe like reeds or rushes in water. Hang on, I'm thinking my video setting. Let me check this. Okay, that's where I want to be. Okay. All right, now you can see what I'm doing. All right, so the water's going this way, the rushes are going this way. I'm going to use my silicone spatula to carve out some area at the top, like that's the sky, and then brush out a little bit, feather that out. Maybe I'll do a little bit more. So we got sky, we got plants, we got water down here. And I'm going to use a variety of tools. So I'm going to scrape in with my sawtooth palette knife. So what's nice about this, I'm also using the gesso to create a compositional structure. And if I don't like it, I can simply erase it and keep moving that gesso around until I get something I do like. Okay, so these are the plants. Then I've put some gesso in a mini squeeze bottle, and I'm going to apply that to create a dimensional layer. I can use a fine brush to create, maybe these are leaves on the plants. So I can set up my composition here. It's like a fresco, like painting in wet plaster. Gesso does have marble dust in it. So I think it does come out of that fresco tradition. Uses a primer on canvas with oil paint. We don't really need it for acrylic. But I thought, what fun would it be to use it to create a compositional structure? Okay, another choice would be to work more abstractly. And it's rather warm today, so my gesso is already drying as I'm going. All right, so I'm going to put this down here, kind of thick. I'm going to show you different effects here. If you don't have all of these tools, that's okay. These are just ideas. So something that might be really fun is to get a wood graining tool from the hardware store. And pull that through the gesso. Here's the wood graining tool. Okay, so that's an effect. Then there's the silicone spatula. I'm going to try and do some shapes here. And you could do this more calculated. I want to try and have some shapes that overlap. So I've got that texture. I could glob it on kind of thickly to go over this layer here, this layer here. So I'm just creating different shapes. Now, if I wanted the shapes to really overlap more crisply, I might dry a layer and then come back and apply another layer on top to overlap. I hope that makes sense. So creating overlapping shapes as a compositional structure. Then I would let this dry. And here's one that I did earlier. You can see the variety of shapes here overlapping, the wood graining tool, the reeds and rushes. And now the next step would be to come in and I'm going to do like a staining. I'm going to use this high flow acrylic. This is supposed to be the rushes here in the water. And I could let that dry, or I could come in with my rag and pull out specific areas to highlight some of those plants. I'm going to go Paynes Gray down here. A blue might have been better, but here we go. So I'm pulling that out to get more of those details that I drew in with the angled palette knife. So I think you can see that compositional layer. And then I would continue painting and adding maybe thicker layers. I'm going to put a little burnt sienna in here, see what I get. So the gesso is going to absorb some of the paint. But I like that I can really work that surface through layers of staining. Okay, so then maybe I'd come in with a lighter sky, but I don't have that blue right now. So now I'm going to work on the more abstract side. I'm going to see if letting it sit there on the surface a little bit longer, if it'll soak in and maybe more of that paint will stay when I go to pull some of it out. I like these earth tones. And it's really nice to have that compositional structure already set. And then I can just play with pushing paint around on the surface there. Okay, I'm going to see if I can pull some of that paint out. Love this area in here. Okay, yes, I can. So pressure's going to matter here, but I don't even have to apply that much to pull some of that paint out. Like the sculptural quality. It's like a patina on a sculpture. Okay, I quite like that. I think this merits playing with a bit more as we go along. Okay, so let's see. Now I'm going to get carried away. Want to add a little bit more there. So it does soak into the gesso, but not as much as I thought. So that's kind of cool. It buys me a little bit more um, manipulation time. So this would be, we have the gesso, then there's this layer. I would let this dry, and then there's all kinds of things I could do. I can come back in and dry brush, like in here. If I dry brushed a blue heavy body acrylic, I'd pick up on that texture and see the, I'm going to call it the engraving from the sawtooth palette knife. Um, or I could just leave it as is. I mean, I particularly love this one off to the side. That came as kind of a surprise to me. So that is it for, I guess I'm going to call it dimensional or bas relief layers with gesso.